Hi, friends. Susan Blackwell here. The new year is upon us, and even under the best of circumstances, the creative process can cover some pretty rocky terrain, and our spidey senses tell us 2025 may bring even more challenging conditions. Now more than ever, we believe everyone is creative, but smart creatives don't go it alone. That's why we hope you'll join us and other awesome creatives on January 1st for the SparkFile 2025 New Year Creativity Kickoff. At this one-day virtual retreat, you'll clarify what you want to create and how you want to get there. You'll meet other makers, you'll strengthen your creative resolve, and you'll leave with an action plan for making your creative dreams a reality. It's all happening on January 1st. Visit thesparkfile.com to register for the SparkFile 2025 New Year Creativity Kickoff and to take advantage of early registration incentives like lower pricing. Y'all, in 2025, let's link arms, fear less, and create more. We'll see you there.
The SparkFile podcast may contain profanity and other adult content.
Please use your discretion.
When I bump into something that inspires me, I dump it in my spark file. Could be something that I want to make or how I want to be. I pump it in my spark file. I jump into my spark file. Let's open up the spark file.
Welcome to the Spark File, where we believe that everyone is creative, but smart creative people don't go it alone.
Hey, I'm Laura Camion.
Hey, I'm Susan Blackwell, and we are creativity coaches who help people clarify and accomplish their creative goals.
You should know that just by listening to this podcast, you're joining a warm and wonderful clan of creatives.
But hold the phone, you may be asking yourself, what exactly is a Spark File?
A Spark File is a place where you consistently collect all of your inspirations and fascinations. Every episode, we're going to reach into our very own personal Spark Files and exchange some sparks. And from time to time, we're even going to talk to some folks who spark us too.
And your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to take some of those sparks of inspiration and make something of your own. So without further ado, let's open up
The
Spark File. Laura, I was just watching you as we recorded that intro, and you were practically off book. Like, I was like, she's not looking at her script.
What's so funny is I was looking directly at my script, and I was having the opposite thought. I was thinking, if somebody asked me to recite this right now, would I? You know how sometimes when you have a script, you could memorize it, but you never have. And so I don't know if someone stopped me on the street tomorrow and said, I'm Susan Blackwell, ba-da-da-da-da. You might be wondering, what is a Spark File? And then handed it to me, I would be like, good question.
Back to you, Susan.
Back to you.
Well, you seemed like you were completely off book and
Thank
spontaneous. Good job.
Thank you, listener. If you could see me now.
Hey, may I interest you in a delicious, fresh spark?
I am ready for a hot, steaming spark.
Easy.
What?
I am excited to share this spark with you. So many things flowing into this spark. I put a spark, let me say spark again. Spark. I put a spark into my Spark File recently. It was a 60-second clip of Simon Sinek, who wrote Start With Why.
Yeah.
In this TikTok, Simon Sinek was saying, the three most important parts of our body to maintain for longevity include, number one, the heart.
Yes.
Number two, the lungs. Laura Camion, would you like to guess the third most important part of our body to maintain for longevity?
Well, I was going to say, is it our brain?
That is a great guess.
Yeah,
and
but
that's what I guessed.
I feel like it's
that
not
was
the
my
answer.
Guess. If you guessed, listener, if you guessed your thighs.
Oh, yes. I totally learned something about this recently. Your legs, baby.
So healthy heart, healthy lungs, healthy thighs are the key to longevity, because historically, the thighs are not responsible for exercise, but for mobility so you could connect with others. Before there were cell phones and email, and even before cars and trains, we had to walk our little selves to visit people and maintain social connections. And if you were more mobile, then you were more likely to maintain friendships. And research says that strong
Nice.
social fabric is a prime marker for longevity. So, the three most important parts to keep healthy: heart,
Heart,
lungs,
lungs,
thighs, baby.
thighs.
Do those squats. But
Yes.
this really got me thinking about Gavin Creel. I've been thinking about him a lot
Yeah, me
lately.
too.
But something that has really become apparent after Gavin died is how strong his social ties
Oh
were.
my gosh, yes.
The social fabric
The
of Gavin
social.
Creel's life was strong and healthy, and even people who didn't know him well, people who met him at a stage door, people who taught him, students
Yeah.
in a one workshop, you could tell that even those people that didn't know him well, there was a mutual fondness and a mutual respect there.
Susan, like I've been thinking about it ever since we recorded that episode because I didn't tell any stories of Gavin Creel in that episode because we had so much great stuff from everybody. But I have like these moments of connection with him that I would not say that I knew him well. I met him, had great connections on 3 or 4 occasions, and he has had a reverberating like effect in my life that is not proportional to the amount of time I actually spent with him.
That is well put. Yeah.
It's astonishing.
Yeah. Seeing the response to his death reminded me how important it is to maintain our social fabric
Oh, yeah.
for our mental health and other things.
Yep.
So all of that's been on my mind. And then I was further sparked this week by the brilliant Jen Waldman, who so happens to
Yes.
be a friend of Simon Sinek. It's a small world. They have done a lot of work together, but
Yes.
you all heard me talk about Jen recently on the podcast. She is one of the leading acting teachers in New York City, and her clients are in all the Broadway shows. So if you're a New York City based actor, I cannot recommend Jen and her acting studio highly enough. Jen recently visited the Spark Files Blaze course to
Aren't
share
we
her
lucky?
wisdom. Yes, we are. She shared her wisdom on reaching out to others, or as she called it, how to build your professional network without the ick. And Jen's energy around the concept of a network was so positive and so ick free. She encouraged us to be generous and generative givers and makers, even when reaching out to the edges of our network. And she said, it's not actually all about who you know, it's all about who you're willing to introduce yourself to. She was such a great guest teacher.
She was phenomenal. It was chock full of goodness, all delivered in such a clear, kind, inspiring way. I
She's
love that session.
Great teacher. So Jen turned us on to the work of Molly Beck. Molly wrote a great book called Reach Out, all about, you guessed it, reaching out and networking. So I want to share this spark from Molly Beck that came to me via the great Jen Waldman, because I think the potential application for this could be life-changing in all sorts of ways for all sorts of creatives.
Not just your creative life, but your life.
Your
period.
life.
Full stop.
Your life. So there are so many gems in Reach Out, but to whet your spark appetite, I just want to share a few key sparks. And Laura, please feel free to jump in, respond.
I'd be happy to.
Yeah. So spark number 1, according to Reach Out author Molly Beck, with the right attitude, reaching out can be a life-changing process that will help you strengthen your network. Molly asks us to think of everyone we know. And this is actually an exercise that you and I have done together, Laura,
Yep.
where you just like basically make a mind map of. I actually did this. I worked on this today. I started making a map, and the easiest way for me to organize it was chronologically.
Yeah.
Like I started at the beginning of my life and I was like, who do I know from the town I was born in? Who do I know from elementary school? Who do I
Yep.
know from high school? Who do I know from college? So I just started, and it just grew and grew and grew. So think of everyone you know. These people constitute your network. So naturally, within all of those folks, there are those who are closer to you, such as friends and family, and then those that are less close, like former
Mhm.
coworkers or an old teacher. The family and friends represent your strong ties, and then the old coworkers, the past teachers, etc., those represent your weak or loose ties. So those are the ones that are out on the periphery of our
Yes.
social network.
Suze, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Then after that, is it the people they know that's like our 1 degree of like
Mhm.
Kevin Bacon of it all?
Yes, that's exactly right. Or if you're picturing it
Interesting.
like a map, like it gets off to the dark edges and there's like
Another galaxy.
there be monsters here and just like the unknown. No, but truly, you
Yes.
guessed correctly. Those are sort of your friends of friends, your colleagues of colleagues, etc. What are you giggling about?
I'm giggling because it's such a sidebar. I'm sorry. But I'm giggling because a friend of mine who is a screenwriter, I don't want to name him because of the people that may contact him based on what I'm about to say. But he posted that he's working on a new project and that Kit Harington is on board.
Uh-huh.
And so I was giggling because I'm like, I'm 1 degree away from Jon Snow. Did I anticipate that being a fact of life? No, I did not.
Mm.
But anyway, so that's what I'm giggling about. It's just for our Game of Thrones fans. You
Cherish
know?
it, save in the thought.
And I love that it's not Kit, by the way. It's Jon Snow.
It's Jon Snow.
I'm sure Kit is wonderful, but it's the character of Jon Snow that I'm 1
Listen,
degree away from.
Whatever gets you through the night, Laura Camion. So Molly tells us, contrary to what we might think, it is our weak ties, Jon Snow, that can have the most transformative effect on our lives, on our careers, on our creativity. And this is because your strong ties usually move in the same circles and have the same information. While people you only have a weak connection with they have information that you don't have. They have relationships.
Well, they
that
have a
you don't
whole other
have.
Galaxy. Exactly. They have their own
They have
other
Westeros. They have
Yes, exactly.
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
they just have their whole other world. Like by meeting one person in a different galaxy, you have
Yes.
expanded your
That's right.
your
That's
network.
right.
Yeah.
That's right, Laura Camion. And when you start thinking about it in those terms, the impact that this could have starts to really excite me actually.
Mhm.
When I was making my map today, so I made the map of all the people. I know so many people from different parts of my life.
Yeah.
And then I had the other side of the map was people that I want to know and
wow.
types of people that I want to know. And I was like, well, this is fun and exciting too. And how do I get there from here?
Yeah.
Through reaching out, you can get in touch with these people. You can increase the size of your galactic network of
Mhm.
people.
Mhm.
And put simply, the goal is to expand your network of people who can let you know about an opportunity, such as a role or a grant or an interesting creative project. The more people you know, the more likely you are to know someone who can recommend you as a creative, a collaborator, a contractor, a cast member. Molly shared this stat that as many as 2/3 of the people recommended by a company's employee get the job.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
It's so interesting to think about that because what that says to me is that we all do want to expand our network, but we're most comfortable with it just being someone in the neighborhood next to ours.
Yes.
It's not entirely like a whole different, we don't, just that recommendation piece of it says we want some familiarity, but we also want a whole new opportunity.
That reminds me of a spark that I don't know if I've talked about on the podcast, the Maya most advanced yet acceptable. We want we want it to be at the crossroads of the familiar and the novel.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, exactly that.
So this sort of moxie that it takes to do these reach outs is we've seen it embodied in our client, Jenna Pastuzek.
Oh,
Jenna's big creative goal in the Spark File is she calls it Project Broadway, and it is to land a named role in a Broadway show. And she has got the talent.
Yes.
Oh my God. So one day, Jenna reaches out to me and says, who can I connect with to further my big creative goal? And I was like, who can I connect you with? And I actually think this is a fun game. I kind of enjoy being a connector of people.
Yeah.
So I was like, I would be excited to introduce you to Seth Rudetsky, who is always making great stuff and spotlighting great Broadway level talent. And so this was fun. I emailed Seth a video of Jenna singing this Barbara Streisand song that I love because I know Seth also loves a good Barbara moment. And Seth wrote back in moments. He wrote back, OMG, I'm obsessed. That song, and she's doing the Barbara arrangement with amazing orchestration, and her placement is amazing. I must meet her with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 exclamation points. And that is all because Jenna, who I have a strong connection with, was who could you help me reach out to? So that is a great example of somebody who's got that, like, who do I need to know? Who do I need to know?
Yes.
And,
yes.
I love this game.
And the specificity of the ask.
Absolutely.
There was no ambiguity.
Nope.
It was very clear. And I believe she probably asked it without an attachment to outcome.
Which is what we always emphasize in the Spark File, without attachment to the outcome. So if all of this sounds exciting, but you're nervous about putting yourself out there, Molly Beck says that's all the more reason to do it and to do it regularly, that the best way to fight anxiety is to face it over and over and over again and get used to the discomfort. A therapist might call that prolonged exposure. We do this in the Spark File. We normalize risk taking. We're risking all the time, and it takes a lot of heat out of any single risk. So sticking to this strategy when reaching out regularly helps us not to dwell on any non-responses because we simply have no time to.
Moving on.
Moving on. In fact, Molly Beck suggests reaching out to a new person once a day, every day. And Jen Waldman actually had us do this in the class that she taught.
So fun.
Jen had us pull out our cell phones and scroll. And when we landed on a name that made us smile, we sent them a text right from class. We sent them a text. Hi, I just saw your name in my cell phone. It made me smile. I hope you're doing great. As Jen said, if we did this once a day in a year, we would reconnect with 365 people. So there's some sparks for you.
Which is incredible and really low effort and super fun. Like the amount of joy versus the effort required is just beyond.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So here's another little spark for you. Molly Beck talks about the gift and the favor. The gift and the favor being two key elements of any reach out. According to Molly Beck, any good reach out, whether it's an email, a tweet, a comment on someone's blog, should include at least 2 gifts. And those gifts can be simple. It can be a sincere compliment or a recommendation for a podcast or a book or a resource. That's enough. If applicable, you could also share some information that the target of your reach out might be interested in, but doesn't have access to. We do this all the time in the Spark File. We'll share curriculum or podcast episodes that we genuinely believe will help unlock something for the recipient. We'll send people books. We'll send people, like we do this all the time. Another potential part of the reach out can be to ask a favor or make a request of the person that you are reaching out to. But when it comes to favors, you want to find the right balance. Nothing big, nothing impersonal. If you can find it easily on the internet, don't bother your recipient with the request. On the other hand, you don't want to overburden the target by asking for information that they would normally charge for. You don't want to give them homework. You don't
Mm.
want to ask for something that is well beyond your organic relationship. For instance, cold emailing someone and asking them to mentor you is too much too soon. So, you just want
Yeah.
to strike that balance when you're asking for a favor, if
I
you're asking for one.
yeah, I also want to just underline this. This is, the line is in different places for different people, but the point you make about like not asking for them to do for you for free the very thing that is what their business is built on.
Yes. Yes.
And that's hard because, I know for us, we have a flexibility there because we have such a genuine love of supporting people and helping people. But when the ask comes that is essentially, can you do for me everything that I would get if I took your class?
Yes.
Then
Yeah.
it's a little like, then we have a harder
Yeah.
time. And I'm like, I want to help you. There is a way that we could help you. And that would be for you to be, in our course.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's hard. It puts people in a hard position,
Yeah.
especially when they have big hearts and like, I want to help you. In fact, I've built a program that can
Yeah.
help you.
And not only does it put them in a hard position, it also can kind of sully future reach outs that you might do to the person because you're like, oh, that person is not reading the room. They seem sort of off balance or out of touch. You know
Mm,
what I mean?
mhm,
So
mhm.
there's a distinction between being audacious, which is kind of
Yes.
refreshing and fun, and just being kind of inappropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's like that list again from Molly Beck is really something everyone should consider to be like, so how can I be audacious and read the room, as you
Yeah.
say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's another spark for you. Your reach out strategy should depend on this. Speaks to what you were just saying, Laura. Your reach out strategy should depend on who you're reaching out to. When you were sharing that example, there are people who are close ties of mine that reach to me and say, could you help me construct the curriculum for this class I'm teaching?
Mhm.
Could you help me structure this keynote address I'm giving?
Yeah.
And I'm like, baby, I gotcha.
No
Do you know what I
problem.
mean?
No
When it's a
problem.
close tie. But your strategy should depend on who you're reaching out to. And this might help clarify this point, Laura. Molly Beck presents 4 handy types of reach out in order of how close your connection is to the target.
Ooh, interesting.
So the first kind of reach out is a reach out. And a reach out you would send to someone you already know, although probably not very well. There's the follow up reach out, which is reserved for reaching out to someone you've met once or twice, maybe at a party or a work event or a conference. There's the borrowed connection reach out. This is where you're addressing someone you've never met before, but you share a mutual contact with. Before doing
Mm.
this, you're going to want to ask your mutual contact whether the target would appreciate an email from you. This is what Jenna did with Seth.
Yeah,
We brainstormed
exactly.
together, and
Exactly.
I made the introduction. She borrowed the connection, took it, and ran with it.
That's right.
And finally, the cool reach out is for targets you have no connection with. So, this, for instance, might be someone in your field that you admire. We have a client, the great Tim Bozzi, wonderful writer, wonderful human.
Mm.
Tim Bozzi
Love Tim.
reminded me after Jen Waldman's class that Tim had actually sent me a cool reach out years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Tim is a great writer, so it's no surprise that as part of I wrote Tim back. And as part of my message
Wow.
back, I was like, this email is so fucking rad.
That sounds right on target for you.
And Tim is somebody, so Tim did that cool reach out, right?
Yeah.
didn't know me personally. Not only is Tim now a client, beloved, treasured,
I
Tim
mean,
works on this podcast.
Tim works on this podcast. Tim is invited into our lives in every way.
Yeah. So
He's so awesome.
that's actually a good bonus spark, like really paying attention to your writing, being,
Yes. Oh,
that is,
yes. Yes, yes, yes.
yeah, yeah. More on that in just a second. Here's another little reach out spark for you. Reaching out can help you achieve a range of goals and again can impact your career, your creative work, your personal life. Before you start reaching out, think about what you want to achieve with this reach out and choose your recipients accordingly. There are many types of goals that reaching out can help with. A reach out, such as a former coworker who works at an arts organization where you want to be employed, can probably help you get an interview. A follow up reach out can turn into an opportunity if you connect meaningfully with someone whose problem you solve.
Oh,
And when it
yeah.
comes to cool reach outs, contacting creative decision makers or influencers in your field can result in opportunity, advice, a new project. Again, I give you Exhibit A, Tim Bazzi. Like that
Yes.
was a cool reach out. With regards to the borrowed reach out, the key is to remind your contacts about your skills and let them know what opportunities you're looking for. Again, this happened with Jenna and Seth Rudetsky. Seth even invited Jenna to come on his Sirius XM show and sing.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you can really
Yes.
move the needle with some smart reach
That
outs.
makes me think of something, and I apologize if you're about to tell us this, but it makes me think of something that Jen Waldman also stressed in this class, which was if you're going to do that, you also need to be prepared.
You
So
got to be
that when
prepared.
he
Yes.
comes back and says, "Do you want to be on my show and do you want to sing something?" It can't be like, I don't know what I would sing. Let me work something up. Ba, 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 ba.
She's like, choose from these 17 songs.
That's right. I'm ready. Tell me
Yes.
when, and here we go.
That is exactly right, Laura. And now to circle back to a spark that you just surfaced. This is such a creative act. Use your creative writing skills. First of all, novel length emails are unlikely to get a response. Keep it concise, keep it to the point. Give it a subject line that grabs your recipient's attention. Greet the person in a simple manner. Introduce yourself as briefly as you can, potentially with a 1 or 2 sentence bio. Finally, offer your gifts. And if you would want to ask for that favor, you don't have to. After that, sign off. Make sure to include your contact information. Proofread everything that you send. And also craft these reach outs like a beautifully written little gift. It can be
Mm.
such a fun extension of our creativity. And recently, I'll throw this into the mix. I started making videos for people. Sometimes
Mhm.
that's easier for me. They can see my face, they can hear my voice, they can hear my real affection for them. And I think it's sort of unique.
Well, I think it is. And I also would underline in all of this, in your writing, in whether it's a video, whatever you're sending, like make it be you, authentically you. Because for
Yes.
someone else, video's not my favorite form. And it would be a bad
Yeah.
idea for me to be like, I'm going to jump on here and make a video, or I'm going to try out a sense of humor that isn't really mine because I
Yes.
think maybe that they might like it. I think it's always best to stay aligned with who you are.
That authenticity, Laura, I think is key. And
Yeah.
utilize those gifts and superpowers that you have that really show your true self and
That's
show
right.
that authenticity. That is a great point. That's a great point.
This is chock full of great points.
I got
Okay.
one more. I got one more for you. The last one is, oh, this is challenging to me, but I'm going to say it because Molly Beck said it and Jen Waldman co-signed on it. Make reach outs part of your daily routine.
Mm,
According to Molly Beck,
yeah.
reaching out only once in a while won't really make a difference.
Yeah.
The best way to do it is to turn it into a daily routine. And when you've got that down, Well, there are a few more things to pay attention to. First, like Laura just said, you're going to need to be prepared to respond to the people who reach back to you. Some people will just write a quick thank you, in which case there's no need to respond. But I still think I'm like, hell's yes, respond. And
Absolutely.
keep the purposeful dialogue going.
Right.
When it
Right.
reaches a natural conclusion, it's okay to let it
Yeah.
conclude. But I think keep that tennis ball in the air. Another thing that Molly Beck talks about that Jen Waldman underscored is whatever the outcome of your reach out, always do it with a grateful heart.
Mm.
The people that you reach out to they can't grant the favor you asked for. They can't always, respond fully, but it's still worth thanking them for any response. According to multiple studies, simply adding a thank you to your email can double the chance that the answer from your recipient will be positive. So I just feel like
Yeah.
this is such a potentially life changing practice. Making reaching out a consistent part of our creative life could
Yes.
provide countless new opportunities, collaborators, champions. It could strengthen that social fabric in ways that the return on that is just, I think, immeasurable. And
Yes.
especially if you do it with a real positivity and a constructive intention around it. So that is
Uh,
my spark for you, Laura
I
Camion.
love it. I love it so much. This idea of making it like a daily habit is so good. It's so good. I just had an exchange with a friend recently who had maybe gone a little bit of time without communicating to me something that they felt like it was important to communicate to me. I was not at all upset about it, but then they expressed the fact that I had not reached out in so long made me not reach out even longer. And that
They were saying that about
they were
themselves.
saying that about themselves. And
Yes,
I was like,
yes.
I totally get it. I've been there. I've been
Yeah,
there. But that kind of thing, not making it like a muscle that you use, can mean that, again, it just is harder when you go to do it.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
That's what I love about the possibility of this, and it's something as an introvert that I think I struggle with because I know if I start I think of them as like tennis balls. If I start hitting those reach out tennis balls to people that some that
Yeah.
I know and love, I know I'm going to get a lot of tennis balls back.
That's right.
And
Which is
it
scary.
it feels a little overwhelming,
Yep.
but I feel like there's something in this that is so key. It feels so important and so critical that I just bring it back to the benefits that I think that it can provide to us as people and as creatives.
If I may, I would like to bring it back to this idea like we just shared probably a week ago. What if you applied the lower the stakes idea to it?
Yes.
Because I think that is
Yes.
exactly the reason why like I've not answered certain emails for a long time because I'm like I
I want to
want
do
it
it
to be a
perfectly.
great email.
Yes. I love that,
Mhm.
Laura. I love that,
Lower the
Laura.
stakes. And
Yeah.
I think about the number of times when I've gotten an email back from someone that was super short, clear,
Yeah.
efficient. And I've just been like, I'm so glad they wrote me back. I did not need it to be a big flourish. They wrote me back clearly and kindly. And that was all the communication that was needed. So
Yeah.
lower the stakes, send the email.
Mm. Or
Mm.
you can do it, reach out lots of ways. Send the direct
Send
message.
the video. Yeah.
Send the video. There's so many fun ways to do it. So that is my spark.
I love it, Suze. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Friends, that's it. This episode of The Spark File was made on the lands of the Lenape and the Mohican people. And as always, we hope it put another bunch of sparks in your file.
Mhm.
Listen, if there's a spark you'd like us to explore, or if you'd like to learn more about how to coach with us to accomplish your creative goals, you
Mhm.
can email us at getcreative@thesparkfile.com or reach us through our website, thesparkfile.com.
We will even happily take your feedback, but first, the price of admission, you've got to share a creative risk that you've taken recently.
You can follow us on social at The Spark File and be sure to subscribe, rate, and 5-star review this podcast. You have to believe me when I tell you it really does help other listeners to find us. Also, if you like this podcast, we hope that you'll share it with people that you love. And if you didn't like it, we hope that you will not reach out to us. How about that? Save that reach out.
Save that reach out.
Redirect.
If something lights you up and gets your creative sparks flying, we are writing you a forever permission slip to make that thing that's been knocking at your door. It's your turn to take that spark and fan it into a flame.
You know, you got to take it
and make
make
it.
it.
Friends, make it.
This inspires me, all the people I want to reach out to.
When I bump into something that inspires me, I dump it in my spark file. Could be something that I want to make or how I want to be. I pump it in my spark file. I jump into my spark file. Let's open up the spark file.
Hi, friends. Susan Blackwell here. The new year is upon us, and even under the best of circumstances, the creative process can cover some pretty rocky terrain, and our spidey senses tell us 2025 may bring even more challenging conditions. Now more than ever, we believe everyone is creative, but smart creatives don't go it alone. That's why we hope you'll join us and other awesome creatives on January 1st for the SparkFile 2025 New Year Creativity Kickoff. At this one-day virtual retreat, you'll clarify what you want to create and how you want to get there. You'll meet other makers, you'll strengthen your creative resolve, and you'll leave with an action plan for making your creative dreams a reality. It's all happening on January 1st. Visit thesparkfile.com to register for the SparkFile 2025 New Year Creativity Kickoff and to take advantage of early registration incentives like lower pricing. Y'all, in 2025, let's link arms, fear less, and create more. We'll see you there.